On May 24th, 2001, a baby girl by the name of Sarah was brought into the world to her parents, Miriam and David Hazlett.
When Sarah was born, I noticed after she had arrived into the world that the nurses and the doctor were acting a little strange. So I knew something was wrong. But I was kind of like, it's going to be good, it's going to be good. It was weird because they didn't really give me the exact time of her birth because they were kind of moving her around and I wasn't quite sure what they were doing with her. But then they finally gave me the time and then they did all the regular tests that they do when a baby's born.
Sarah was born with a cleft lip and a cleft palate, a birth defect in which there is a slit or opening in the upper lip, the roof of the mouth, or both.
When I found out she had a cleft lip, at first I remember looking at her and counting fingers and toes. There was just something about knowing that she had all of her fingers and toes, and I'm thinking she's going to be okay. I was more concerned that there was going to be some kind of mental retardation or some worse physical problem than her cleft lip, because usually when there's some kind of physical abnormality, you have more problems behind it than just that. I was grateful that it was just the cleft lip, but then I started having my own personal guilt going, what did you do? Was this your fault? And then the doctors were even telling me that this is something that's hereditary, and I have a brother that's handicapped, and that maybe that had something to do with it. And after Sarah came home, I spent a lot of time feeling very guilty that I had done this to her. But I found out later that that's really not how that happens. It just happens to be something when the chromosomes and everything join together.
It is estimated that around 4,440 babies are born every year with a cleft lip, with or without a cleft palate.
So after we get Sarah home and we go through the normal visits where you go every few days, they put me in contact with a doctor who deals with cleft lips, or he's under the title of a craniofacial doctor. We lived in the Akron area at the time, Akron, Ohio, and we went to him and they were going to do Sarah's first surgery at 6 weeks, which was kind of as a mom with a 6-week-old baby, that your baby's going to have to go through this surgery. It was really kind of emotional. But also when I took her to this doctor, I saw other babies that were sitting in the waiting room who had like nothing from here to here, who didn't have a whole ear on the side of their face, who had a hole in their cheek. And I'm kind of looking at Sarah going, wow, okay, I'm putting this in perspective. It's not so bad.
After having her surgery at 6 weeks old, Sarah continued to go back to her doctor once every year to get a checkup. When she was 4 years old, the doctor decided that it was finally time for her to have her second surgery in order to fix anything that went wrong and needs fixing after her face and skin changed as she grew.
And then she had another surgery when she was in 7th grade because, again, as she grows, things are, they're going to reposition and skin pulls and all that. And at this time, they also realized that part of the nose was kind of involved. And I actually found out from that she really wasn't breathing very well out of one of her nostrils. She was barely breathing at all.
2 weeks before school started this past August, Sarah had yet another surgery.
So with the surgery that I had in August, what they did was they went and broke my jaw on both sides of my face. And they went and put, I think, 2 or 3 screws on this side and on the other side. And then since they had to go and fix my nose since I couldn't breathe, and they needed to fix my chin as well, they had to go in and I now have stitches all along the bottom and top of my mouth where the gums meet the lip. And with that, they found apparently during the surgery that it's on this side over here, on my right side of my mouth, they found that there was no bone here. So they took my chin bone and they put it there.
With a splint in her mouth and starting her senior year, Sarah had to learn how to accommodate to speaking in front of others.
I remember showing up to the first day of school, I had a splint in my mouth and I could barely talk. My speech was very slurred, So I would stop talking. I wouldn't put my opinion into anything or raise my hand in class because I didn't want people to know I was different. It wasn't until like week 3 or 4 I finally gained at least a little bit of confidence, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna make the most of this. I remember going in my room, laying in my bed, and just laying there and just started saying some like random things that I would say.
With going through all of these surgeries, it had a mental toll on Sarah.
As Sarah was growing up, it always concerned me about how others would treat her or say stuff to her or how she felt about her cleft lip.
I remember in elementary school and middle school, my friends would ask me, hey, what's that line under your nose? And I was too afraid to tell them what it really was. I didn't want them to think of me differently. So I would tell them that my dog went and scratched me.
Through all of this, it affected Sarah and those around her and their outlook on life.
I hope that if anything that you take from this, it's that everyone has a story. They all come from somewhere and they all do great things in their own way. Yes, they may be different in some ways, but there's always something to love about them.